The new Predator film sucks, and here is why. What's up, everybody? Today I'm here to talk about the new Predator film and why do I think it sucks. I will be discussing a lot of spoilers, so if you hadn't had the chance to see the film yet, you can check my non-spoiler review. But you have been warned, I will be talking a lot of spoilers here. So anyway, let's get to it. I am a huge Predator fan. I love the character. I think the character has a lot of potential. After seeing the original 1987, I completely fell in love with the Predator. And to me, this is still the best Predator film ever. Now, I believe that a lot of us can agree that the Predator is a character that invokes fear. Why? Because he is a very efficient killer. He hunts people for sports, and then he collects trophies out of them. So that's a pretty cool concept. Now, when you take a look at the new Predator film, I think this movie was just a complete and utter mess. The plot line were like all over the place. The movie was definitely not taking itself very serious. There's a lot of humor over there to the point that people are calling this film a comedy, and that's exactly how I felt. Is this a comedy? Am I actually watching a Predator film? And it's very disappointing for someone that's a huge fan like me. I believe that the movie provides entertainment for a couple of hours, but as far as really being a cool Predator film and expanding the universe, it really didn't accomplish any of that. And that's where I was very disappointed, especially taking the fact that Shane Black has been in the original film, so you would at least think that he understands the character. But after I got out of the theaters, I was like, man, these people have no idea what the Predator was supposed to be about. A Predator is a sci-fi. We expect it to be thrilling. We expect it to be exciting. We expect it to be, some elements of like scary, not specifically horror, but elements of horror, of course, and like jump scares. And obviously, you expect the characters to be terrified for their lives. But in this movie, you don't really see that. You have the characters, the loonies, for instance, they're fighting the Predators, and no one seems to care that they're about to die. Even though we do get to see a little bit of the Predator being Predator, and that's pretty much an Act 1, which in my opinion was the strongest one, it still failed miserably because they brought in so much humor, and the humor, it was just so much that it took away any thrill that the movie could potentially invoke in the audience. And that was the biggest bummer for me. And to be honest with you, the more I think about this movie, the worse it gets. So first we have a Predator, right, that he came to Earth, and very soon we actually find out that he came to Earth to bring something to humanity, okay? To kind of save humanity. And I didn't like that concept. The Predator always came to Earth to hunt people for sports, and that was the cool part of it. And now he's actually worried about humanity, and like, how does that make any sense? I was a bit confused about that. I really did not enjoy. I would rather have know more about, the Predator, the place where he comes, or the beef that he has with other kind of predators, than kind of seeing the storyline. They are worried about global warming destroying the world and things like that. Why the Predator actually cares for humans if he would come to Earth to actually hunt people for sports? So that concept did not make sense to me. Did not like it, and I was like, okay, this movie sucks, officially. And then towards the end, even the concept of him actually bringing something to help humanity doesn't even make any sense. Pretty much what he brings is an Iron Man suit that instead of having the shape of the Iron Man, is actually the shape of another Predator. At the very end, I was looking at that scene and I was like, it got me a little excited because I'm like, I wonder what's going to be in there. It could have been something a little more creative, but no, it's just a suit that it's literally the same suit of Iron Man. I mean, come on, talk about lack of creativity and trying to make this look like Marvel. This is what bothers me the most. Predator is its own thing, okay? It's not supposed to be that comedic because this is supposed to be a film where you have this hunter, he's very vicious, and he does that for sports. And the cool thing is that he does have a code of honor. But I think that the way that they brought so much humor in the film, it really kind of broke what Predator always used to be. They're trying to make this be like a Marvel film, and it's just not what Predator is. And I was like, how could you not get this? How is that hard for you to write a Predator film? I mean, you look at some comic storylines, they're way cooler than what we got. So come on. At the first act, actually, when we have the first encounter of Quinn and the Predator, I thought it was pretty cool. I thought he got lucky over there by knocking down the Predator using the Predator's own weapon. So that was the way that he was able to do it. So that was pretty cool. We could see a lot of gore over there. And then eventually, obviously, the Predator is taking hostage, and then because Quinn kind of stole all the armor from the Predator, he mails everything home to a PO box, and obviously he ends up, because he didn't pay the PO boxes, go all these little things. I was just, this is boring, just get to the action already. I didn't care about it. And then he goes and kind of swallows a Predator technology. To me, it really shows that this character is not very smart, because first of all, this is an alien technology. You don't fully understand it. It could be radioactive or whatever, and he swallows it because obviously he knows the government is about to catch him. But still, it didn't make much sense to me. So I was like, man, what's going on here? Obviously, we know that the Predator has been captured, and we have the scene where he's on the table, restrained, and that's where Olivia Munn's character comes in the picture. He's I think she's an evolutionary biologist, something like that. And obviously, they're over there looking at the creature, and it's not very hard for you to predict what's going to happen next. But I didn't mind that scene being predictable. In fact, I was just waiting for that to happen. And when that happened, it was actually the time where I had the most fun. I thought that scene was pretty cool, and I pretty much enjoyed the first act, However, that particular scene really goes against with everything that the movie was saying at the very end. That particular Predator came to Earth to actually help the humans. But that was really the point. He was not there to specifically hunt anyone. Why would he wake up and just start killing everyone? It would make sense if he just killed the people that had guns, but not every single person there had guns. There was the doctors there. I don't know, maybe he was pissed, I guess, and we know he's a vicious killer. And at the same time, if his point was actually to save humanity, it didn't make much sense that he would just start killing everyone that way. But whatever, I still enjoyed the scene, that's what I actually wanted to see. That was cool. It was actually thrilling. I really like the scene where she's trying to get away, but then she can't get away without going to decontamination, where she'd have to take her clothes off. And it was a really cool scene where the Predator is really looking at her and he doesn't do anything, and he continues. But anyways, then she grabs something that, I don't know, it potentially something to sedate him again, and starts running after him. And then the Predator pretty much escapes and is on the hunt to find his armor. Then we also get to see the loonies, okay? Quinn is put into the bus along with all these loonies. And like I said on my non-spoiler review, I thought that these characters were very generic, They had some funny lines here and there. Some jokes worked, some didn't. What I didn't like is that they didn't stop the jokes even at the point where their lives were in danger. And that's why I thought it was just too much. And that's where I thought, is this a Marvel film or is this a Predator film? Like, if you're running for your life and you're about to die, you probably would not be there cracking jokes, So this is what I don't really like. The movie didn't take itself very serious. And at the point where their lives were really in danger, I never felt that. I never felt that their lives were in danger. When you look at the original, for instance, we see all these really buff, awesome military fighters terrified for their life, terrified because they know that they are dealing with something that it's a little bit beyond what they were expecting. It's not just a normal human, it's a alien with a different technology and a very efficient killer. But that is not present in this film, and that's why I thought it sucked. Life has no meaning in this film. You have a 10-year-old, for instance, that he's carrying the gadget of Predator, and then someone yells at him, and then the gadget is kind of automatic and he kills the person right away. And even though I thought the scene itself was kind of cool, because that's pretty much how the Predator would do, I guess. If someone was just yelling at him, he wouldn't take it. However, the kid kind of murders this guy, and then he uses that as a weapon against the bullies. And I was just like, man, he just took a human life, and it didn't make much sense to me. The other thing that I didn't enjoy very much is the fact that the 10-year-old, no matter how smart he was able to crack the alien technology, for instance, I mean, that didn't make any sense. I mean, for real, what? I didn't like the whole storyline that they had. The predator wanted to get the kid because the kid was the evolution. I was like, oh man, I mean, what the hell is going on in this film? I didn't like any of that. So I was I didn't even think they should have brought a kid into this world, because if they are trying to build some tension, that's what I felt. Because sometimes if you have kids, this is one of the things that Spielberg does very well, putting kids at very dangerous situations. However, he creates tension with that. But in this movie, we don't see that because the movie is not taking itself serious enough. It's like the audience is not taking the movie serious either. Like at no point I thought that this kid's life was ever in danger, you know, at no point. I did make a comparison on my non-spoiler review with Aliens, where you have, you know, Sigourney Weaver, Ripley taking care of the kid, and man, you're terrified for that kid's life because they do create the tension. But in this film, nada, no tension, no thrill. Oh, what a mess. And later we also have the scene where all the loonies are inside this hotel, you know, they're all talking about the predator, making jokes with Olivia Nunn. And although some of the things worked, you could tell that she knew a lot of stuff about the predator already, even though it just seemed that she was just introduced to the predator not long ago, and it doesn't seem that she was there long to have that many information. She's talking about that they are hunters, they do this, and that. I mean, they do mention that they hunt for sports, but she seemed to know way more information than it was given to her, because all the events are kind of, it's supposed to be happening very fast. It's kind of the whole events in the movie is like throughout the entire night. But oh man, the pacing of this film was all over the place. What? It's like a kid was writing this film, a kid, you know, and the studios approved it. It's just it really blows my mind how this kind of stuff even gets made with an $88 million budget approval. Seriously? I would give this $88 million to a fan, because a fan film would be way better. Trust me. It also had the dogs. The dogs to me didn't make any sense at all. You know, I wanted to learn more about the dogs. I thought that the dogs would play a very cool role. And there's just this one very fast scene when one of the dogs gets murdered and then the other one gets shot in the head, and then the dog befriends the human. I was like, okay. I actually thought that the dogs would come into the picture to make to make their lives even harder, you know. Why would they bring the dogs anyways? They are already very efficient hunters, so that didn't make much sense. And I really didn't like the whole thing that they make the dog kind of friendly like that, you know. I thought it made the plot a bit confusing. I also think that this movie completely has no touch with reality. And that's the other thing I didn't really like, because the original, for instance, it was very realistic. And even though it's an alien story, the pacing and the way that the movies flow so better, even though if you nitpick, you're always going to find mistakes, because every movie has mistakes, but the movie flows really better. You really feel the tension. You're with the characters. You're actually rooting for the character. But at no point I was rooting for the loonies. You know, I didn't care for them. I was actually rooting for the predator, and I was like, just kill, die. The characters themselves didn't care for their own lives. Why should the audience? I also didn't like the whole idea of the hybrid predator, because they didn't expand on it. They just pretty much say, oh, it's a bunch of DNA for a bunch of other predators. And that's it, movie. I was like, why even bring the idea if you're not even going to explain or expand it, like, or give us some background or some other, oh man, it's just... Hated it. Then we get to the third act. Oh my God, the third act was probably the worst part in this film. And we heard a lot of reshoots going on, and you could totally see, because the editing was atrocious, okay? People were getting killed so fast that one of the characters, I didn't even notice that he was dead. After, I don't know, 20 minutes after in the movie, I was like, oh, that guy, where's that guy again? Oh my God, was he the one that died? The super predator comes into the picture, and I think that was the worst part in the film. I hated the super predator. I thought the CGI was terrible. You could tell it was CGI. And I think it has a lot to do with the reshoots as well. I was like, one predator was really good, the first one, you know. That's how I like the first act much better, because they're practical effects. But then when the super predator comes into the picture, along with the dogs, The CGI was awful, the editing was awful, the pacing was awful, the story didn't make any sense. It was like Shane Black just got to the third act and said, screw it. And that's why I didn't like it. That was the part where it was supposed to be the best part, okay? Also, there's so many things in this movie that doesn't make sense. That's why the third act is such a mess. So you see that the super predator kind of was able to get his hand on the boy, right? Put the boy inside the spaceship, and then he takes flight. And Quinn, along with Williams and some other guy, they're able to jump on top of the spaceship, and the spaceship is kind of like taking off. And I was like, oh my God, there's no way that they would be able to sustain themselves on top of the spaceship, but okay, I'll buy it. Fine, by this point I'll buy whatever, you know. The movie was just so terrible. Two of them get killed in a stupid way. I mean, why the other guy got his legs cut off? Why didn't he duck? That was so stupid. If Quinn had time to duck, the other one would have time to duck. And then we have Williams, right? He is over there, and then he just laughs and gives the finger to Quinn, and then runs and pretty much kills himself. And then that is what brings the ship down. But if you think about it, right, the ship took off and it was pretty much on air, flying a couple of miles, right? Then the spaceship crashes, right? And then you have Quinn kind of finding the super predator. I'm like, whatever. And then soon after, Olivia Munn's character just appears there using the cloaking device out of nowhere. I mean, how the hell did she get there if this spaceship has been flying for a very long time? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. And the movie doesn't even care to make sense. And that's what bothered me the most. Characters are getting from point A to point B, and it's just a bunch of nonsense. I mean, we know it's a cloaking device, but can she teleport as well? Like, how did she get there? I was like, man. Then at the very end, it got even worse. I was like, can this movie get even worse? The little kid, the 10-year-old kid, has a desk on a governmental intelligence facility. How does that make any sense? A kid is actually working for the government. It's dumb. A lot of people have been telling me, oh, this is just dumb fun, a popcorn flick. Not supposed to take it serious, but I disagree. You know, I thought that the original was such a great film. Why can they keep up with the same level? Taking the fact that the character has such potential, why can they give us better storylines and things that makes more sense? You know, why do they have to always go the silly route and do these stupid things? Like, how can you buy the idea that the Predator actually cares for humanity now? Why would he do that? What's the motivation behind it? That didn't make any sense. I would have rather have taken this movie completely out of Earth and just go completely alien than having this kind of storyline, you know? And the very end over there, again, Shane Black copies the whole idea of Iron Man. We all know he directed Iron Man 3. You know, the bracelet kind of becomes a suit, and it's literally becomes a suit just like the Iron Man suit. I was like, what lack of originality, okay? And it's just terrible, you know. When you're dealing with aliens and alien creatures, I think originality is key. You have to be original. You have to come up with cool ideas. The whole point of the Predator that he would come to Earth to hunt humans for sport, and now pretty much he's giving humans a suit to help them. I mean, what is going on? I'm very surprised that the Predator was not singing Kumbaya. I'm actually here to peace and love and help humans. Like, what the hell? Unfortunately, I think this movie sucks. It sucks for the fans. You know, if you're a true Predator fan, I think it sucks because I don't think it expanded the universe. It didn't bring us anything new. In fact, kind of destroys the character a little bit, because now I look at Predator, how can you even take this character serious? And I hate that they did that. And that's why I think that this movie sucks. So in my way of seeing, I'm just going to look at this as the other Predator that I didn't like. And I'll just keep this as canon. I'll keep elements from the second one as canon, because I did think there are some things from Predator 2 that did expand the universe, even though I thought it still was a B film. But it's kind of sad for Predator fans that they can't get these things right, you know, and you can see studios' fingers all over it, you know. Also, we know that studios, a bunch of executive people sitting over there making decisions. They don't care about characters. They don't care about the fans. They only care about movies that make money. And they know Marvel films are making money. So let's just do a Predator Marvel film. I mean, come on, seriously? it feels like we're never gonna get good films going forward, because if every single studio goes in this route, I mean, seriously, even Predator, I mean, can you imagine the xenomorph, like you go see an alien film, aliens being so comedic like that? So to me, those are the reasons why I think this